Yeah, Ankush, it's really intriguing how impactful you are and how you helped me move from all these ideas out there around marketing your practice and different strategies that are out in the community, even in the three principles community, to really get back to the soul of the matter. And it really eased my mind when you started to share the value of relationship rather than marketing practices or even the word sales. And it really brought me back to being human. And I love that. And you were so good at that. And I wonder if you could share a little bit about, maybe what you've seen about the value of just creating relationships rather than, I don't know, marketing yourself or even telling people your programs and all of that. That something grows out of the relationship, and you're really powerful about speaking to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that I think is a great topic. I think it's something I didn't understand when I started my coaching practice. And maybe if I'd heard someone say, this is about relationships, I would have thought, oh, now I need to go and schmooze people,
Oh
and
yeah.
I need to go and make small talk, which I wasn't very good at, and I need to be a kind of like a salesman. But this kind of builds on our last video around rapport in a coaching session. It's really about, for me, building relationships with people, where we can really serve and help them. And this is very different to what some people might call a marketing, or a traditional, should I say, marketing based approach, because this is all marketing, but a traditional marketing based approach where the idea is to get you in front of as many new people as possible and create a wide reach, and have new people come in and potentially work with you. And and this is slightly different. This is more about building relationships one person at a time.
Mm.
And it can seem really counterintuitive, it can seem a lot slower doing it this way around, but we've got to remember, even within marketing, and some people may or may not know this, I studied a little bit of marketing at university,
Mhm.
and I had some jobs in marketing earlier on in my career. But marketing as a discipline, it changes depending on whether you are selling a product or a service. And so one thing we've got to remember is coaching is not, we're not selling a product, we're selling a service. So this is intangible, right? So when we say, oh, okay, Mark, you've got a coaching package,
Mm.
there's a lot of intangibles around that. We don't know what it looks like. We don't know how much it weighs. We don't know how much space it's going to take up. We can know some logistical things around how long sessions are, and how much it costs, but there's a lot of things about that package which are intangible. This is very different than saying, Mark, you've got a car to sell. Let's have a look at the car. Let me,
Yeah.
see that, it's a car. It's a product. It's a thing. Whereas with coaching, it's a service. It's intangible. And so the best way to understand the service is to experience it, right? So um, that's why, to me, I take a much slower route, if you like, with creating coaching clients through relationship, because for me, I want them to understand what it is they're buying, because I don't want anyone to spend any amount of money and not be happy with that money. That's not what I'm in business for. That's not what I got into this profession for. I got into this profession to really help people,
Yeah.
and I get a kick out of people, having insights, and their lives changing, and such incredible transformations, their lives getting better. That's really what I'm in this profession for. So it really makes sense to me to slow down that initial process and connect with people, have them experience what it is that I do, so that they can make a really informed decision as to whether, hiring me would be a good thing for them, and it would help them to get what they want, right? And
Yes.
and no coach, by the way, is right for everyone. I used to think there was a hierarchy, right? The better you get at coaching, or the more money you charge, or whatever, then you're a better coach, and that would be for everyone. And it's not the case, because again, this is so personal. The way that Mark Howard is with someone, it might be very different, or will be different to, and I'm not talking about me, but I'll even talk about other colleagues of yours who have been sharing the three principles and have maybe a similar background to you. They'll be very different. In fact, they are, because I've probably spoken to a number of them. Everyone has their own style and feel and way of coaching, teaching, sharing. So it really serves our business for, the client to understand and experience us, right? It serves
Mhm.
us because then if we're working with only with people who are going to get a good result, or good experience of working with us, then word of mouth spreads, and there's good feedback about the work we do. And also it's really good for us because I know that I sometimes have preferences. There's certain kinds of clients I like working with. There's certain, like, I remember speaking to a colleague of ours, and I asked her, who's your favorite kind of client? And she said, I love working with people that other coaches give up on,
Right.
right? And she said, Cheryl Bond is her name, wonderful lady. And she said, I say to, she works with corporates, and she says, give me the people that no one else wants to work with. Give me your most difficult people that no other coach wants to work with them. That's my ideal client. Now, that wouldn't be my ideal client, I have
Yeah.
to admit, but it is for her. And so for ourselves as coaches, this works both ways. I had a client yesterday reach out to me and said, Ankush, just please send me an invoice. They're a former client of mine. They want to work with me again. And they went, send me an invoice. And I said, well, what do you want to do? And he went, I want to work with you for a year. And that's a lot of money. And I
Mhm.
said, no. I said, no, I'm not going to send you an invoice. Let's talk. Because I really want to make sure that we're both on the same page. Like, it
Mhm.
really doesn't serve my business in the long term for me to take a lot of money off someone and us not be on the same page, because I don't want to be having a conversation 2 months down the road where he's like, well, this isn't quite what I was expecting, and can I have my money back?
Yeah.
It's messy. So I'd rather get on the same page, have a good relationship with him now, and say, well, what is it that you're really looking for? What are you looking to get out of this? And then
Mhm.
also anything from me about how I would like him to show up and how this is going to work well. That really serves both of us. It really makes both financial sense, and also it feels right to me too.
Yeah, you reminded me that um, when I do have those conversations, and it's really about just getting to know the person, really, almost like the rapport we've talked about last video. What what there is to offer just kind of shows itself, rather than you having like a set package you're going to offer. How to offer what you can do for that person just kind of appears in that conversation. But I wanted to share something practically, and how you helped me when we met one another years ago, and you talked a bit, as we've talked together through the years, about this building relationship rather than selling a product. And I was last year, I was asked to speak to a group, and I had lunch beforehand with the group, and I was sitting next to the president of the group. And I started, he started to ask me something about what I did, and I started to drift into that habit of describing my programs. And then I remember, just build a relationship here, just be with the person. And I shifted gears, and we just talked. And he found out that he loves golf, he loves fishing. And we just had this wonderful connection, just a connection. And that's the practical thing here is that, you use what you're sharing so far, Ankush, to really be with people um, in terms of getting to know them and just hang out with them rather than trying to describe yourself. And there's a different feel to that, isn't there, Ankush? It's like for me, when I try to describe what I do and I'm really there to try to get this person into my practice, it's all intellectual. But when I really just try to know the person, it's a connection, a different level of feeling. And it doesn't always happen this way. But after my presentation, he came up to me and wanted to talk some more. And so we set up a time where we could go further in our conversation. So, um,
Yeah, and if you want to talk about practical, Mark, I think something that just occurred to me
yeah.
is something that I'm thinking. What do I see coaches do where they don't understand this? Let's, like you say,
Oh,
let's
yeah,
make it
that's good.
practical. And
Yeah,
one of the things that I see is a lot of coaches say, yeah, I get it. Focus on relationship.
yeah.
But then I see them having very short conversations with people,
Mm.
right? They'll have a 15-minute conversation or a 30-minute discovery session. And they'll say, okay, now here's my proposal. Would you like to work with me? And that's kind of like meeting someone on a first date and say, would you like to get married? Right?
Yeah.
It's too soon. And so when I'm mentoring other coaches who are newer in this profession, I kind of have a rule of thumb. It's not a strict rule, but a rule of thumb. And I say, you really want to talk to people at least a couple of times before before making a proposal about working together, and really slowing this down. So you have a long conversation with someone, you get to know them a little bit better, they get to know you a little bit better, and ideally you're helping them with something that they're stuck on, right? Some issue, some challenge, and take your time with it. And then you maybe set them some homework. And by homework, it might mean listening to a short video or an audio or something, not arduous. It might even be taking the next step for them that you guys have worked out together, and then having and arranging a second conversation. And it's important because, as you know, Mark, sometimes the insights don't come for clients in a conversation or in a call.
Mm.
They come afterwards,
Hmm.
right? And so
Yes.
they need to have that time to really understand what is it that is occurring
Yeah.
for them. And so I say like a minimum of 2 conversations. So you speak to someone, you help them, give them a little bit of homework, they go away, things start percolating. Maybe they read a book you suggested, or they listen to something you suggested, and the insights go deeper. They get a deeper understanding, and then they have another conversation. And now they're in a much better position to understand what they might be buying.